a break in transmission.
Oh, I was wondering what was happening. Okay, anyways, like I said, welcome everybody. Everyone, let's observe the first ground rule. Put all microphones should be on silent except when you have a question to ask. When the speaker is on, please let's put our mics on silent and try and observe some form of respect for each other. Once again, welcome everyone and thank you for taking out time to join us this morning. For the early birds who came in, we had 3 of Mayor's books given out to 3 of the people who came early. One to Dikwa Ajayi, the other to Joseph Ako, and the first lady who joined us, Taiwa, you know. So 3 of them are going to get 3 copies of the book from Mayor this morning as being early birds to this conversation. I think Mayor Mayor is back. Yeah, Mayor is here right now. For those of you who don't know Mayor, like I said earlier, Mayor is a documentary photographer based in Lagos, Nigeria, but his work has taken him around Nigeria and beyond Nigeria. He has used his works to bring succor to many communities that he has participated in their issues. Mayor doesn't just document communities or the porn photography like we see around on social media, on the internet, showcasing poverty of people. No, he uses his pictures to highlight issues and profile solutions to those issues. And all of this he has done because he has taken his personal project very seriously. So this morning, he's going to be sharing with us on the long and short of personal projects. Why are personal projects important to us? Why do we need to embark upon personal projects and the likes? So once again, I welcome you on behalf of Tell That Story. My name is Babawale Obayonju. I'm a photographer based in Benin City, and I'm so glad to see many of us be here this morning. So once again, welcome everyone, and I hand over the session now to Mayor. Thank you very much. Mayor, it's over to you. Mayor, are you there?
So this is the point I did. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, fine. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? So this is the point we always try to say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? So good morning, guys. I'm glad to have everyone join us today. Like from the guys that came in early and having to win something for yourself. I think that's amazing. Thank you for the organizer for bringing me here. I've always been joining as one of you guys trying to learn to, and yeah, so right now, I'm really excited that I'm here today to talk about something that is very important to me too, something too.
Yeah, so we can hear you now.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So let me talk. Now that the screen is here, so I'll go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide as we start. The beginning. So 2017. I wasn't actually like a photographer, yeah. So in 2016, I actually was running social media campaigns for people, for organizations and all of that. And prior to then, I was an editor in the magazine. So we had this photographer guy that every time I write out my stuff, my stories I want to post, and we look for pictures, he couldn't just get the kind of pictures I wanted. So I decided then to actually try my luck. So I tried using the camera to go take the kind of pictures I wanted to write the stories about in the magazine. So not necessarily like I was a photographer. No, I wasn't. So I was just someone who was trying to make my work easier as a writer in a magazine. Fast forward to 2016, so I got this job to run social media for a governmental parastatal. So from the job, I got to buy cameras. The idea was not even to be a photographer. The idea was actually to become a cinematographer, shoot short videos to showcase the work of the governmental parastatal involved. But over time, I realized that I was getting towards more of pictures than the videos. Do you understand? So I was spending more time trying out photographs than trying out videos. So, and that was in 2016. By 2017, I started doing like every other person because I come from Akwa Ibom State. And where I come from, a lot of people don't do, I'm not sure they do documentary at all. So I should be like the first guy that's actually saying, okay, I'm doing documentary photography. So back where I come from, we all do event photography, weddings, beauty portraits, and all of that. So when the job of the governmental parastatal now finished, I realized that, okay, I have to be a photographer because I have the camera. So I wasn't buying any new things. I now decided to go and try out my luck with the guys that do the retouching, the frequency separation, the beauty photographs and all of that. Man, that stuff is hard. So I think I knew that stuff was hard. So I wasn't good at it, maybe because I didn't develop more interest in it. So I decided to do what I like, go on the street to have conversations with people and photograph. So that's how the whole Mayor being a documentary photographer started. It was because people that knew me didn't tell me to my face that my work as a beauty photographer or portrait was not good enough. So what they did was that when they wanted free stuff, they came to me. But when they wanted to pay someone money, they go to other people and now tell other people that Mayor cannot photograph. So when I now decided to go to the street now to photograph, they now said, we told you Mayor cannot photograph. That's why he's going to the street. He cannot photograph. So it was a very difficult time because being in a place that you don't have anybody you could talk to that is doing what you're doing, that understands what you're trying to do, and every other person is trying to, they are just doing the wedding and the beauty and all of that. So it was really difficult for me. But I knew deep inside that I had this connection with the street. I had this connection, my ability to talk to ordinary people and have conversations with them. So for me, that was worth more than the immediate gratification. So I stayed with that. And by August of 2017, I had visited like 2 communities, like just go there, talk to them, photograph. So I now found out about the Abuja Photo Festival. Our next slide. So this is me in Abuja in
Metamorphosis.
So that's me in September of 2017 at the Abuja International Photo Festival. So I saw the stuff on Facebook, I think, yeah, Facebook or Instagram. And I saw it, I said, I would love to be in this kind of place because for the first time I'm seeing people that are doing the same thing I'm doing, but they are bigger. So for the first time, I'm like, yo, so this thing is possible. Immediately I saw that I actually applied for it. Once I applied for it, a couple of weeks later, they sent me an email that my first like 5 have been chosen for exhibition. That's the biggest thing. So I was really excited that finally the people that, like someone that don't know me can actually like my work. And now they want it to be exhibited. But the problem now became, how do I transport myself from Uyo to Abuja? Because I wasn't making money. So how do I get myself from Uyo to Abuja? How do I frame 5 images and transfer the 5 images with the frames with myself to Abuja? So I started asking for help, started going to people, please give me, you know, I remember people, so there's somebody I actually thought that would give me like a lot of money, but the guy gave me like 5K, 5,000 naira. So it was crazy. I was just getting money year and day, to actually go. And my app got back. So I didn't have a camera, and it was supposed to, the Abuja festival is after the day for street photography, yeah. So everybody, so this is me for the first time having this platform, and I don't even have a camera again. So I remember this my guy that I called him, oh guy, can I come and get your camera because I have this stuff to go to? He said I should come. It was a rainy day. I can't forget. So he said I should come, and I took my money, went to his house. He made me to sit downstairs. It took him like 45 minutes to come downstairs. And after coming downstairs and gisting general stuff, he now said, bro, I'm sorry, Mayor, someone else I want to give the camera to tomorrow. I can't give it to you. I'm like, yo, dude, you should have just told me over the phone that you're not giving it to me. So, but to cut the story short, I figured out a way, raised money from friends and family, got myself and the 5 frames to Abuja, and everything changed from that day. So that photo you're seeing there in 2017, me standing behind my images, and people are looking at it. It was in that 2017 also, this particular exhibition that I made for the first time. It's a bio Omobiro. So bio came in the last day of the exhibition. Bio came in, and they were showing him around the works of people on the wall. So he now saw this one. Then I used to document with what I call humans of Akwa Ibom, because I used to tell stories of people from my state then. Then my girlfriend, now my wife, told me about humans of New York. I didn't even know about humans of New York until she said, this thing you're doing actually looks like the humans of New York guy, Brandon. So I had to go and check Brandon out. I was like, whoa, so let me call my own humans of Akwa Ibom. So I went to the exhibition in 2017 with humans of Akwa Ibom. So he now said, Bayo now said, who has this one? They said humans of Akwa Ibom. He now said, you should call me. I was downstairs. They now called me and now ran up to what you're doing. You're gonna be great. So when he said, you're gonna be great when you stick to what you're doing, for the first time, someone I look up to, like this man is photographing the president and he's telling me that my works are good. So I just told myself, yo, this is it. And since then, I never looked back. But forget about the transformation. The transformation in the picture is my hair, you know, and I now decided to keep hair. Then I didn't used to keep my hair. So I decided to keep my hair right now. That's why you see the difference between that guy and this guy. So if we can do this, so that's the background story of who I am and what I do. And yes, so personal projects. Okay, before I end what I do, I have to say this quickly. I have to raise myself small, you know, understand. So in 2020, for charity, and $40,000. That's like over 15 million naira for charity. And none of those came to my pocket. None of those money made me richer, but it actually helped people who were genuinely in need. So, and it was mainly from my personal projects. And that's why I have to put this first before we start the discussion about personal projects. So personal projects, to me, is a project that you go about by yourself, self-funded, to tell the kind of story you're interested in so that a lot of other people would see your view, if that makes sense. Is a personal project, to me, is a project you go on by yourself to tell the stories that you're interested in as a person, as a photographer so that you can, that's what personal project is for me, basically. So when you look at like the image on your screen right now, I don't know whether you can see it. There's an image on your screen right now. I don't know whether you can see it. It's a picture of a drummer. So in 20, yeah, you can see it, yeah?
Yes, yes, we can. Yes, I can.
All right. So in 2018, in 2018, I heard about the African Drum Festival in Ogun State. So as a photographer, I want to tell my story in my own perspective, not the perspective of anybody, my own perspective. So I took up the project to shoot those images. So I went to those, I went to the 2018 edition, I went to the 2019 edition. There was no 2020 edition, unfortunately. So I went to those two editions. Those are like my personal projects. So if you're starting a personal project, it's about you doing your stuff in a subject matter that you are interested in so that you can take your perspective to a wider audience. You're sharing your perspective, and your perspective is shaped by your experience. So someone, if you don't live a situation, you cannot have an experience. And it is those experiences that would shape your perception to a kind of stuff. And that will actually influence the work, the quality of the work you are giving out. Does that make sense now? So that's like personal project. So if we go through the pictures, the next slide, you see another picture. If you could put the next slide on, so you see the next picture. Yeah, so it's from the same drum festival in Ogun State. So I figure out that I love, this one is in Ogun State. Yeah, so it's another project entirely that I shot in a community called Ituko. So this is a tie and dye community in Abeokuta, and they do tie and dye. Everybody in the community
is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, Itoku. Thank you very much, Itoku. So I went to that community. I did a body of work from that community, and this image is from one of those. It's one of the pictures from that project itself. So the next slide. This is from the same project from Itoku. The same project is the same community. I was taking photographs of the elderly people, the younger people, and even the people that were doing the tie and dye, and having conversation about how they transferred this technology of tie and dye to the next generation. That even when the ones that started, the people that started it are long gone, people are still continuing to do it. So that was what I was trying to share with this particular personal project, as we can keep going so that we could go into the crux of documentary. This is a project I did for a girl named Rosemary. So Rosemary lives in what I call that place in Lagos. This is a very popular place that people shoot when they want to show poverty. As you're going to the island. Yeah, Makoko, yeah, Makoko. So I went to photograph in a school there. So I met her and I figured out that she didn't have one leg. So I actually followed her home to meet her parents. So talked to her parents about what happened, how did she get here. Said she had an accident when she was like a year old. Yeah, so the leg got bad, they had to amputate it, and she's using wooden crutches. And it was difficult watching her work with this stuff. So with this project, I actually raised a lot of money to get her school supplies, get her scholarship, and get her better working aid. So that was this project then. The next slide. So if you realize throughout the images, I'm telling a particular story from my perspective. So this is how the day we finally gave the, I'm trying to, okay, right now on the screen, it's Rosemary, when we got her the working aid and we delivered a lot of stuff and people came looking at. So I photographed this image when the people in our community and neighbors came through to celebrate with her with all the things we brought to her that day. The next slide. So yeah. Types of personal projects. Now we are back into the crux of the matter now. The types of personal projects. So we have the long-term personal project and the short-term personal project. The long-term personal project and the short-term personal project. Those are the types of projects, documentary projects we have. So when you're looking at the long-term personal project, you're looking at photographing a particular subject matter for at least 10 years. 10 years. That's the least number of years you could photograph a long-term project. But a short-term project can be done under a year. So it's called long-term because you're trying to see the progress made. So for example, I have a personal project that I'm working on, women living with fibroids. You see the picture in subsequent slide, but let me talk about it so you understand. So these women live with fibroids, and it's very discomforting, if I would use that word. And most of them cannot have children. And most of them, because of fibroid, they have this protruding tummy that looks as if they are pregnant. So they are not pregnant, but the tummy is swollen up like a pregnant lady. And family members, husbands are actually throwing women out. And they are going through a lot of stuff because of that situation. So my idea was to actually go through the life of these people living with this kind of condition, go through their lives, how it affects them personally, how it affects their own family members, then get a doctor to talk about these things. So I finally got a doctor who does surgery for women living with fibroids. So I started photographing the surgery situation. I went into the theater. I saw these people being opened up, removed the fibroid and all of that. So it was crazy sight, you understand? But then it was just part of the story. And I realized that if I just photograph one and leave the rest, it will not tell a complete story. Because there's a woman and the husband that came all the way from Kaduna for the surgery. Last month, they had a baby. So my joy is that I will go and photograph the baby so that when I'm trying to put the story all together, I can actually show you that someone can have fibroids. A surgery can be done and the person can still conceive and bear children. That it is not like, but I can't do that if I want to just photograph one-time photograph and go away. Do you understand? I have to follow the progress. So when you're looking at long-term, you're looking at progress. So let's say, like, if I wanted to do a long-term project with like Rosemary, the first time I photographed her, she was using those wooden crutches. And I'll go back and photograph her when she's using better walking aids. I'll go back and photograph her when she has prosthetics. And I'll photograph her when she's gone from nursery school to secondary school. The progress, how the parents are dealing with the changes. Do you understand? So in all, when I now drop the whole body of work, maybe after 10 years, 15 years, you now see that Rosemary has gone from the 7-year-old that she was to this 20-year-old girl. And I've been able to tell you in detail what has happened to her throughout those years. So that if you, in a situation that you have someone that age that is going through the same thing, my aim with the story is to show you that that's not the end of life. Things can still happen if we help them the right way. So whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing that would happen in the future, your aim of your long-term personal project is to being able to share a complete story. Because let's use, for example, if I'm using the fibroid story, if I decide with the fibroid story that, okay, this is fibroid story, yeah, and let me just photograph the women and the surgery procedure, you would not know this woman before she came for the surgery. She's a farmer, she has a farm. How does she survive? How did she come to this place? Okay, after the surgery, how is her life? So that when you are actually looking at making scientific, if you are, like, let's say in science, you're doing scientific analysis of things, you actually could go through the processes. Okay, in this number of, we photograph 10 number, like the number of women we photograph would be 20, and in this 20, 5 were able to get pregnant in so number of months after the fibroid surgery, and 5 did. So do you understand? You tell a complete story, but you cannot be able to know whether the person would get pregnant after the surgery or not if you just shoot that and put out. So the long-term project allows you to tell a complete story. So you go back, you come back, you go, you come back. It shapes the way your story progresses. You're not influencing it because you're just following the progress and documenting it. You're not influencing anything. You allow the story grow and you follow it. Whereas the short-term project are projects you can just, let's use, for example, the water project that I'm very passionate about these days. So if I'm to use the water project, I wouldn't want to do a long-term project because this community, they need water. Like they need water now to drink. So I don't want to elongate my story. I try to figure out how to tell a compelling story within the shortest possible time. So you need to figure out which project would be the one for long term and which project should be the one for short term. So for me, how I decide that is, if the problem I'm trying to solve is immediate, if the problem I'm trying to solve is pressing, I have to make it a short-term project because I want the effect that the project will have on the general public to be immediate. I can't leave it for 10 years. I can't leave it for 5 years. If I'm leaving that water project for 5 years, what would happen to the people who keep on drinking this dirty water? I can't leave it that long. But if I'm trying to share a story that will have, it progresses like the fiber story, I want it to go longer so that we can see how she got pregnant, she got a child, the child is now 10 years old. So you now go back to like, say, 15 years after the first story. This is where we are now. If that makes sense. So that's how I rank the personal short-term and long-term personal projects. Long-term personal projects are very necessary, but you know, we live in a time that everybody just wants to shoot projects and share. So we love our Instagram live, our Twitter retweets. We love all of that. We want people to see that we are photographing. We want people to see that, we went to that place, that we did that work. But if you really want to have longevity, yes, that's the word, have longevity as a photographer, you need, especially documentary photographer, you need to invest in long-term projects because it is the one that would actually give you the staying power in the game. If short-term projects will come and go, but those long-term projects will actually keep you in the game. So I will talk about why it will keep you in the game much later, but right now just know that if you want to stay in the game, long-term projects will keep you in the game for a long time. So imagine, I have like two of my personal projects that are being used as CSCs at PhD level in universities outside Nigeria, because I took time to create it. So the person is using it for a scientific experiment, but I photograph as a photographer. Do you now understand? So my work is now helping to solve a higher problem. And that can only be done if you're using a long-term format in your documentary work. So you need to figure out the project you want to do for long-term. Like I said, if it's immediate and people need help now, short-term. If it's something that you want to keep and document, let me say, okay, so let's say, for example, you know, my brother is in Kano, Oladipo, yeah? You in Kano, yeah?
Yes, I'm in Kano.
Yeah, so like in Kano, I know there is a tie and dye pit in Kano, yeah? There's a tie and dye pit where they dye all this, leather and all of that stuff. So if you want to do a long-term project on those kind of stuff, your idea is you want to see how they transfer knowledge from one generation to the other. Do you understand? How knowledge is being, this native knowledge of tie and dye and dyeing in the pit is being transferred from one generation to the other, because the people that started it are far gone. They are no longer here. But that technology, that native technology is still here. And it is our work and responsibility as documentary photographers to actually keep that for future purposes. You document that process so that in, let's say, 20 years, you can actually show, like, say, 20 years ago, this is how they used to do it. 15 years ago, this is how they did it. 10 years ago, this is how they did it. 5 years ago, now this is how they are doing it. So you can actually run through the different phases of how that technology has passed from one generation to the other, to the other, to the next. Sustain that technology to pass to the next people. Not everybody going to other stuff, if that makes sense. So that's the essence and long form term personal project and the short term personal project. If we can go to the next slide. So please, now we are actually working on the next slide. You can actually type in your question so that we go back and forth and answer some questions.
I wanted to say that now. So please, everybody, can you just put your microphones on mute for now, please? Mute your microphones. Mayor, thank you so much for this insight. So anyone who has a question, please, like Mayor has said, the chat. Please, everyone, mute your microphone, please. Mute. Okay. Yes, I think everyone is muted now. Yes. So fine, like I said, if you have questions.
Okay, let's keep going on the slide.
Yes, okay, fine. So please put your question in the chat box and we'll attend to it. Thank you. Okay, okay.
So let's keep going. This is a photograph I did at, this picture was taken at the market at Mile 12 in Lagos. So I went there, photographed a couple of people, and the people have said I should come back and photograph them because what they saw was great. That was a picture that was on the screen before now. If you can see it. So this is like the short-term project I was talking about, the water of Katampe. The community needed water immediately. I had to put it. This image was from the Mile 12. This is the water of Katampe again on your screen right now. This is their well. So they have two sources of water in that community, and all of them are dirty water. So I had to photograph this project, and we got them water through the help of Sterling Bank. So the community had water because of Sterling Bank and all of that. And last year we did again, and Union Bank gave all community water in Enugu. So this is a photograph from the Katampe in Abuja. This is the color of their water. Like, this is the color of their water. They don't, like, this is what people drink. So I needed to do it immediately. It was an immediate project. It wasn't something I would leave for a long time. This is this particular one on the screen right now is the running water, not from the well. The other one the girl was holding with the water bottle was from the well, but this is from the running one. So you see that there's no difference between the running water and the one from the well. It was terrible, like really, really terrible. And I'm grateful we could be able to do that. Yeah, this one came from the well. This particular water with this girl holding this water bottle, this one came from the well.
Yeah, Mayor, there's a question. There's a question in the chat box. There's a question in the chat box. It says, do you know Wakama Aka? So do you know from the onset that a project will be short-term or long-term?
Okay. Sometimes you don't know, but sometimes you do know. So like I said, if the need is immediate, I know for a fact that it is short-term. Like the Rosemary case, we needed to get her out of those wooden crutches. It was immediate. We needed to find out how to get her school supplies. It was immediate. We needed to make sure her life was better than how it was at that point. That was immediate. So there was no long term at that particular point. So I just needed to do that short term. So sometimes it's not going to be a long term project. But some other times you don't know. The story you go, you find an insight, like a direction to it, like you say, oh, this will actually make sense if it's a long-term project. If I don't share everything right now, this will actually make sense. You decide not to share things.
Yeah. So now another
that's how you do it.
Another
Sometimes you don't know.
Another question is, what if the story isn't about a need? Taiwo, I know, is asking, what if the story is not about a need? Do you get to sharpen it for post or directly from the cap? Okay, that's another question. Taiwo is asking, what if the story is not about a need? How do you go about it?
Yeah. Okay, if a story is not about a need, which I've done before, sometimes when you go to photograph, like my style of what I do, I have conversations with people before I photograph them. I always say that my goal is to find connections, not put images. I find connections, not images. So when I go out to photograph, I have to talk to these people, have real good conversations with people. And the last thing I even bring out is my camera. I don't even bring out my camera. So I have this conversation. So it is what they give to me, the feedback they give to me, that will actually make me understand, okay, should I go deeper into the lives of these people, or should I just allow it to be just a one-time thing? So if they are giving me a story that is too deep and I really want to go into it, and I know it will be interesting for me, yes, I would go all into it. But if it's just a normal kind of story, like one time, like I go to places and I photograph one time. I go to some other places, I photograph one time. So I don't just waste my time because I couldn't connect with the kind of story I want to share, if that makes sense. So you have to find, so like I said, the personal project is about something that means something to you. You have to find a subject that means something to you. So if you find a subject and you have this conversation and you don't feel it in your gut, just make it a one-time thing first. Don't make it a long-term project. But if you go there and you find something that makes you feel uncomfortable as a person and you want to share, you could have likewise go all in and ask all the questions. From one person will lead to the other person. You now connect all of them together. Once you connect all of them together, you now realize that this story should not be one time. It should be spread. So you now, because it's not a one person kind of documentary you're doing, maybe sometimes you have to talk to the mother, maybe sometimes you have to talk to the grandmother, sometimes you have to talk to the uncle, the teacher. So there may be many players or subjects inside the documentary stuff. So at that point, you can't do it just once and walk away. You just have to find how to get all the stories, because for everything people do, there is a reason. So once you can figure out why they do it, that means it might actually bring in other people you have to go and talk to, interview, photograph. So it's that, Taiwo, that's actually what influences how I choose what I choose, if that makes sense to you.
question again, or there are questions already, so many questions. So we'll just rush through them and you try to attend to them. So one is asking, how do you create that communication with people? Like you talked about that before you shoot anyone, before you take their pictures or create pictures of them, you communicate with them. How do you get into that flow? Because sometimes you meet people on the street or in a community, they're not willing to talk to you. How do you get into their space? Then the next question is, do you use light to shoot documentary photos? If yes, what kind of light? That's a technical question. You attend to it later. But that talk about communication is very important. Then the next one is, how do you raise funds for this project? Is it funded by individual bodies or your personal earnings? Let's take those two questions first.
Okay, there's the next thing I wanted to talk about would have actually answered this question.
Okay, so let's go there.
So what do I do? Should I go through the stuff first?
Let's go to the slides. Then you will come back to the questions. Please, so guys, just be patient.
Okay. So
let's listen to Mayor. Then we can come back to the questions if they are not answered. Thank you so much for your interaction.
Yeah, because I'm so sure that a lot of the questions will be answered in the next one.
All right. Good. Yes, it is.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are two things that are very important when it comes to personal projects. It's access and permission. So when that person asks about how do you talk to these people, this is where the matter is. A lot of us as documentary photographers do not know that there is something called access and there's something called permission. And there are two different things. Permission is not access. Access is not permission. So people actually feel that access is permission and permission is access. They are two different things as far as I'm concerned. So permission is, for example, I come to Benin. I want to do a project in Benin. Let's say the Oba of Benin Palace. So I go to the palace and I finally get to talk to the Oba. And he said, Mayor, welcome to the palace. Please go ahead and photograph. That is permission. That means I will not be harassed. That means nobody would say, why are you photographing here? Why are you not photographing here? Why are you doing this there? Why are you doing this there? Because I've gotten permission. People will allow me in the palace to photograph them because I've gotten permission. But access is another thing. The king might say, photograph in the palace and have given me permission. But if the people I'm interested in photographing do not give me access to their lives, I cannot photograph it. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yes, it does. It does. So
I want you to get that very clear. So you can get all the permission, but you don't get access. And you can get access, you don't get permission. Access means that maybe I've seen the palace guard that I want to talk to. The guy has opened up and allowed me to talk to him. I photographed him maybe in his home and all of that. But I'm here to photograph him at his duty post at the palace. But I don't have the permission of the king for me to photograph him in the palace. Hope that example makes sense.
Yes, so it does.
The guy I'm trying to photograph has given me access to him, but the king has not given me the permission to photograph in the palace. So I need both the permission from the person who is in charge and the access from the person who I'm trying to document. With those two things, you'll be able to actually do great work as a documentary photographer. Which actually brings me to the next thing we have to talk about. The things that are necessary when you're planning a documentary trip, personal project. I think maybe the next slide. I hope I've been able to, I'll come back to these images. So let me see what you need to do when you're trying to build a personal project, if that's okay. I hope I've been able to answer the access thing and the permission thing is understood, yeah?
Yeah.
Just wave your hand if it's understood so I know we can move on from there.
It is.
Okay, yeah. So what we do is, after that, you now know about permission. You now know about access. The next thing we have to talk about is how do you now plan your documentary trip so that you can get people to talk to you. That person talked about people talking to you, yeah?
Yeah.
There was a question about how do you get people to talk to you?
Communicate. How do you get them to share, to release their stories to you?
Yeah, yeah. There's a question about that. There's a question about, do I carry light to go and, that a question of gear.
That's gear.
And there's also a question of how do I raise funds for this project?
Exactly.
So I think those are the three questions we've had. And
yeah,
this particular point I'm going to bring now would actually answer those questions. Okay, so the first thing is you have to understand is that personal projects take time. Personal projects, it takes time. Do not rush it. Like don't rush it. Don't say, okay, I'm coming to Benin tomorrow. I want to go and photograph the palace. So I just drop in that I want to just go and photograph like that. It doesn't work that way. It's not an event. You're not doing event photography, yeah? So it doesn't work that way. It's an event that you just go to this, okay, there's a wedding. If it's a wedding event, you don't have to go since the day before yesterday and go and wait. You just go the day that the bride and the groom will come through and you photograph your stuff and you go ahead. So, but when it comes to documentary, it takes time. You have to factor in the time factor. You have to know that you don't have to rush it. You have to agree with yourself that it might take me 1 month to do it. It might take me 2 years to do it. It might take me 10 years to do it. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that this story will be told in a good way. So it's time. That's the first thing you have to understand. Time is everything. I know we always, like I said before, we always want to rush and show that, oh, how many projects have you done? 20, 50. That's why we want to use 1 day, 2 days to do a documentary project. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying that you can't get the best out of it when you're rushing it. You're not able to get the best out of it. So what you do is to allow time. The number 2 thing is, whatever you do, do not share your personal project before it's ready on social media. Don't do it. Because I know, like, we always want to show that we are here. I've been talking to the organizer since day before it, since about a week ago. We talked about it. You heard that I was in Ogun. Yeah? But have you seen any picture from it?
No.
You've not seen any. You've not seen any picture from it. I'm online. I'm on Twitter. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm on Instagram, but you've not seen any picture from it. I've not even mentioned that I'm shooting a personal project. Like, I've not mentioned it. You have to keep it away from social media. The truth is, if you don't keep it away from social media, I know in your mind you're trying to say you are building the tension so that people will expect something. Once you share 2 or 3 photographs from a project, because we have seen a lot of pictures, someone will just be saying, when your project is now ready and you want to share it, someone will be like, I've seen it before now, so why are you showing it to us? There's nothing more to show. Meanwhile, you have like over 50 pictures from the project and you just showed like 2. And now people don't want to see it again because they have seen it already because they feel that there's nothing new. You have to keep it to yourself. Until it's ready, you share. If it's not ready, don't share it. That's number 2. If it's not ready, do not share it. Don't come to social media and just post it. Current location. You can do current location. Yeah, I'm in Abeokuta, I'm in Kano, I'm here. But the picture you photograph to be part of that project, do not share it on social media until the project is over. Because when the project is now over, you now figure out whether you want the project to be, do you understand? Whether you want the project to be on social media, published on social media or not. Does that make sense? There's a documentary photographer called Sebastian, if I pronounce the name, Salgado.
Sebastian Salgado.
Yes, Sebastian Salgado. That guy, that man is a legend. Like, he's a legend of the long-term project. Like, he understands how the long-term project works. He doesn't share it on social media before it comes, because some of the time, where you want to publish your work may be a book publication. Because if you're interested in publishing your work in a book, you don't want it to be on social media before. Do you understand? It can't be on social media and you put it on a book and you expect people to buy it. They have seen it already. Now it's not exclusive. It might be in a magazine. So you might actually want to put it in the magazine. Magazine wants exclusive content. So they don't want their images they have seen on social media on their magazine. It's exclusive content. You might want to do gallery. If you want pictures to be in a gallery from a long term, but you don't want to put it on social media, because if it's on social media, the gallery doesn't have that exclusivity value. Do you understand? So you want to keep it, and you might want to do your exhibition. I don't want to see a picture. I don't want to come to your exhibition and see a picture I've seen on social media. Nobody wants to do that. Collectors, art collectors, if you've ever been to an art event, you realize that there's a date for the opening of the art exhibition, yeah? But before the official opening days, there are opening days where the real collectors, there'll be like a day or two for the real collectors to come to the exhibition and see for themselves first. And they collect the best works and go before it is now open for the general public. So what if the picture and someone wanted to collect and pay you a lot of money for it, which you wouldn't know because you don't know the pictures that they want to buy, and you're putting it already on social media? Nobody would buy that because people want exclusive stuff. So that's the reason you shouldn't put it on social media, if that makes sense. Let me see the hands if that makes sense, please.
There's this stuff that's been going around for some days now, where people are saying if people hire you for what you show, and now you are saying don't show your personal project online. So now, how do you balance between that stuff of show what you want to be hired for and your personal project not being online? How do you put that balance and make sure you are
okay?
You're in the flow of people, but you're also private with your works.
Exactly. It comes to the point that I always ask this question because this is the Seth Godin says, because Seth Godin is a good marketer that I follow.
Hello, Mayor. Okay, he's back.
Yeah, just hold on a bit. My light is out, so.
We can still see you, and we can see your natural state.
Okay. Yeah. You can hear me now, Mayor?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
So I'm trying to go out.
Okay.
So I'm trying to go to where there will be light. So I was saying, when you come to personal projects, I talked about Seth Godin, yeah? So Seth Godin said, you have to answer two questions if you want to sell. And the two questions are, what is it for? Who is it for? What is it for? Who is it for? Once you figure out what your photography is for and who the photography is for, you know where to find them. The truth is, most of the time, the people that we posting on social media is not where our client is, especially for documentary photographers, which a lot of people will not tell you, but that's the truth. That's the truth. The people that hire us are not on social media. You have to find the people that hire you and put your work in their front. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
So basically, that's it. You need to figure out that. And once you do, you know where.
Hello, Mayor. I think you should go back to where you were before. Your network was more stable there. Like Mayor has said, I think this is a very important thing because in our age and time, everyone is so conscious about what they want to share, they want to put out stuff. But I think the two key questions that would help us decipher or determine what we should post and what we should not post are those two things. What is that image for? Who is that image for? So before you post any picture or any of your images online, be sure that you have answered those two questions. What is it for and who is it for? If you're able to answer those two questions adequately, then you are free to post whatever you want to post online, provided it attends to those two questions. Is Mayor back now? Mayor seems to be, okay, it's back. Yes, good. Thank you, Mayor. So unmute yourself, Mayor. Yes,
okay,
good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. So
what I'm saying is, once you're done with the project, you figure out whether the project is for the exhibition or it's for an art gallery or it's for a book or it's for a magazine. So if those works are not for any of those, you can now put it out to where you want people to see it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But if you want to share it at your exhibition, it's still for awareness because exhibition is you bringing everybody that needs your kind of work into one space. That's what exhibition is. You're bringing the people that are interested in your kind of work into one space. You put it in a book. You want to share your work to the kind of people that wants to read it. In a magazine, because this is a niche kind of stuff, so it's not for everybody. So once you're done with that, you can now share it on social media. I'm not saying you shouldn't share your work to get attention. I'm just saying when it's done, you will figure out which one of the platforms would you want to use to publish the work. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So that has been answered, yeah?
Yeah.
So in between that non-sheet on social media, you have to find a mentor. So because you don't want people to see it, but you still want another set of eyes to see it and help you with it, that's when a mentor comes in. You find a mentor and you tell the mentor, oh, I'm working on this project. I would like you to share your thoughts on it with me. You now send the works to him and or he or she can check through it and like, oh, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that before. Yeah, people who have done long term how it works, and they'll go and they will share their knowledge and experience with you. That's why you need a mentor, so that you don't go to social media for validation. You don't seek validation on social media. You talk to someone who's done it, and the person will give you validation. You shouldn't be seeking validation after all. You're an artist. The next thing is number. What number is this? That's number 2, yeah? I can't hear anybody, so I want to know what number are we?
Yeah, that's number 2. That's number 2. Number 1,
that's
you
number
talked about
2.
personal projects taking time and not rushing it. Number 2, you talked about not sharing personal projects on social media.
Until it is ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So number 3 is research. This is where the problem is, where most people don't do it. Why most of our works are not good enough. Why we don't get the result we want. Research. Most of us don't spend time to do research. We just stand up and go to the place and we photograph. You have to research about it. When I talk about research, it is in the research that you figure out what is really this issue. So you have to, okay, let me look for, I'll still use let me use the fibroid story. At the research stage, I have to go to Google and find out what is fibroid. Why is it always prevalent in Black women? Is there any cure for it? I have to figure out, what is the surgery condition called, that procedure of removing fibroid? What is it called? Is it safe? Do people do it? What's the success rate? That's not being a photographer. And everybody wants to be a photographer. So that's the point where you actually do the actual work that it takes. So you have to figure out all of these things. It could be science, it could be psychology, it could be sociology, it could be history. So you have to, okay, if I want to photograph in Benin, I have to go through and read the history of the Benin Kingdom, of the Nok culture. Do you understand? Because if I don't understand the Nok culture, there are certain things I won't understand about the Benin people and why they do what they do. So I need to go through history and do research about this thing. It's in the research point that I can figure out the communities I would want to visit. Do you understand? So you have to do the research, because once you do the research, you know where you are going. You know the communities where you want to go to. You know the people you should talk to. You know the stories that should be done. And you also know what have been done before on that particular subject matter. So you don't go there to say you're the first person doing it or something. Once you do your research, you realize that maybe someone has done it before, and maybe the person was not even a photographer. Maybe the person was a historian. Maybe the person was just a news person. So you gather all the information you can get from that subject matter, and that will influence a lot of things. That will influence the choice of community that you go, so that your particular story you want to tell will have impact. That will also influence your choice of, how would I put it? That will influence your choice of someone you would use as a fixer. So the word fixer, who is a fixer? A fixer is someone that knows the local environment that you want to go to. He speaks the language of the people. He understands the culture of the people. He understands the way of life of the people and all of that. If that makes sense. So what happens is that you need that person. If I want to go to Benin, I don't know anybody in Benin. I cannot speak the language. So I would need someone who speaks the local language. I would need someone who understands the culture of the people, so that when we go to a place, you tell me, Mayor, remove your shoe, or Mayor, remove your cap before greeting somebody. So I don't do mistakes and that can get me thrown out of the community before I even start doing my documentary work. So in that research point is where you will find who should be my fixer, someone that will take me around and get me permission and get me access that we spoke about, which are the two important things. It is in the research stage that you actually would know, okay, what are the photos I'm going to take? How am I going to tell this story? So you now build your storyboard. So I want a wide shot. That should be an establishing shot to show where I am. I want this kind of shot. I want this kind of shot. In the storyboard, you show those kind of shots that you need to tell your story. After that, because you've done research, it influences your type of shot that you want, so that your story you're trying to tell would make sense in pictures. Once you figure out the shot, the next thing is the equipment. So you now figure out which of the equipment will allow me create the kind of pictures that will fit into this storyboard. So that means if I want to shoot wide, I have to find a wider lens. If I want to shoot close up, I have to find a portrait lens. It will influence your kind of gear. Okay, because I want this kind of picture to look this way, do I need additional light? If that's the case, you now, when you're now writing down your gear, you now, okay, let me put the light in case the community does not have light, or in case this is the kind of mood I want to create my portrait in that project. That is how you take all of that. And after writing all the gear down, the next thing that will occur to you is like, oh, budget. So you now, because you've researched and you know the communities you're going, you can definitely say for sure, this is how much it will take me from my house to that community. This is how much it takes to stay in a hotel in that community or a guest house. This is how much it costs for feeding. This is how much I would pay the fixer. This is how much I need to get for clearances. This is how much local transportation within the community. So it is in the research stage that you get to know all of these breakdowns. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
If it makes sense, let me see this. So the research stage is key. Like the research is key because it is there you would know who you will talk to. Because when you know who you will talk to, it is easier for you to get your fixer to take you to that place. But if you don't even know who you want to talk to, it is hard work for you to get a fixer. You guys will just be walking around, spending more days and more hours, not getting the crux of the story. So in the research that you have to figure out who would make this story work. You write the person down. This might not be actual, like knowing the person's name. It might actually be, who do I need to talk to? I need to talk to a chief that was here before the Civil War. You write down a chief that was in this community before the Civil War. It might be anyone. So if you go to the community, you're not very specific. I need to talk to a chief that was in this community before the Civil War. It's better than going to the community and just thinking, okay, I'll just talk to anybody. That will not help your story. You need to be very specific. So it is in the research stage that will be able to figure out who you want to talk to and how you want to talk to them. Get a fixer so that the fixer will tell you, okay, that person is in this community. This kind of person you're looking for is in that other community. You've done budgeting too during this research, so you know how much it will take you to go to the place, come back, feeding, transportation, and tip if necessary, and all of that. So research is very important. You don't just say research is just about the subject matter alone. It's everything that will make the story work. So research is that.
Yeah, Mayor, are you there? Okay. So like Mayor was talking, research is very important. If you want depth in your stories, you need research. So Mayor, you were freezing at the time. So I was just trying to fill in the gap for you. Are you back now?
Okay, where am I back now?
Yeah, you were at research. Why research is important, and I was trying to emphasize that research is very important if you actually want to get depth in your stories. If you actually want to go deep in your project. I think the last conversation we had with Benson Ibiabuchi, he really emphasized also this aspect of research, and he also shared some light on how he does his research. And you have also shared right now how you do your research. So for every one of us, if you're embarking on a particular project, even if you're shooting events, even if you're shooting weddings, even if you're shooting portraits of people, you need to do your research because yes, you have to understand that part very, very well. Somebody asked a question I think that will help you emphasize more on what you're just talking about. He said, how do you get this project? Is it by agency or you practically source for this project? What leads you to them? Like you didn't just wake up one morning and
like personal project.
Holy Ghost revealed to you that Katampe needs water. Or you didn't just wake up in the morning one day and you got an inkling. Oh, that woman has fibroid. So how do you get this project? Do you get it by personal searching or whatever? Okay. How do you get them?
Okay. Can you hear me now? Hope I'm not freezing again.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, so like the Katampe project, I wasn't like the first person. So it was my friend, I'm terrible with names. He will kill me. He will kill me if you know that. If I forgot his name. Okay, Oluwafemi. Yes, Oluwafemi. He used to be photographer to Imo State Deputy Governor.
Okay, Oluwafemi
is at
Oluwafemi Stevens.
Mines and Steel now. It's a documentary photographer. Oluwafemi.
Oluwafemi Stevens,
yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yes, Steven Oluwafemi. Yes. So yeah, so he did a project on that and he shared with me. That was in February of 2019, I think. So he was actually rubbing, back and forth. You, Mayor, I'm working on this project. So how do you see it? And me, I was just giving input. Okay, this is how I say it. This is how I say it. And said they needed water and all of that. So I give him Instagram. It didn't get the traction we wanted. So I told him, okay, guy, let's switch the gear. Go and do a video about, like a docu-film about that community. Maybe the video will speak more to people than the pictures. Went back, he did it, he did the stuff, he showed me, we shared it. He didn't still get the traction. Me, I'm like, what is really going on? We really need to give these people water. So I was just thought in my head, okay, any day that I'm opportune to go to Abuja, I must visit that community. So from that very day, I said I would visit that community. I had to start doing my research about the community, the Katankwe community in Abuja, the topography, the water situation. I have to actually look at how people photograph for water courses and all of that. What kind of photos are striking? What kind of photos are good for the storytelling? So I got through all of that research part. I actually read a book about the psychology of how people think. So like I went through to read a book on psychology to understand how people think. So immediately when I now got the opportunity to go to Abuja, I was teaching a workshop at Waka Snap. Shout out to the guys on the Waka Snap group. So they brought me to Abuja to tell to do. I did a workshop. So I did a workshop, and I went to the community and I photographed with the background knowledge and the research I have done. And thankful to God, he got the awareness with God and the help with God. So from there, more people started sending me messages directly that their community also want water, that I should come and photograph. So that's how I built the database of communities that need water in Nigeria. So to answer that question directly, sometimes people bring it to you. Some other times you just go out and find it. So because I have done a lot of it before, so people now come to me and answer, please come and help me tell my story. Please come and help me tell our community story and all of that. But before then, I would just say, if I see, like the fiber story, they didn't bring it to me. I just saw a doctor that was doing. So once I saw a doctor that was the doctor it's an NGO. So I told them I wanted to come. They said, okay, I would come. They will pay my way, and that's all. They will not pay me any money. I said, it's fine. I just want to come and get the images for the story. So that was how I did that one. So sometimes you have to reach out to people who are in the kind of, like, let's say the circle of things you want to work on. So let's say you want to work on agricultural documentary. You have to look for NGOs, you have to look for companies, organizations, people that are in farming, and you talk to them, pitch to them that, oh, you want to do a story about this kind of stuff. If they would allow you, use their platform and come to their communities and actually do this. So that's how I get my stuff. I reach out to people, or people bringing them to me most of the time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think because sometimes we need to demystify these things, because like in events or general photography or videography, there's some things that people think are made in heaven and sent down from heaven that you just have to prepare one spiritual thing to get into. There's no mystery there. Like in life, I realized in recent time, I've been trying to read more about it. Networking and connectivity is very vital for us as creative. We cannot function as islands. Yeah. No, we can't. We can't. No, we cannot function as islands. So we need to connect. There's, like you just made mention of the Katampe story.
We cannot. You cannot get anything done.
Exactly. It didn't start from Mayor. It started from Olufemi. Olufemi shared with him.
From me.
Yeah, and he.
Olufemi Stevens.
Yeah, so right now, I'm sure there's someone else also working on that project of Katampe to highlight another issue that will bring succor to them. So we need each other in developing projects.
Yeah, someone is working on education.
Exactly. So it is very obvious. So like you shared initially when you started talking at the initial time, you said our perspective are shaped by our experiences. Yeah. So basically, when you get into any community, into any project, most of the time, your experience will come to the fore, will come to play in your project. So be open to ideas, connect with people, connect with people. I can't overemphasize that. Connect with people, connect with ideas, and connect with opportunities. That is how personal projects are given birth to. So I'll allow Mayor to continue on this discourse. If you have any other questions, please use the chat box to drop your questions, and Mayor will continue from here. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, the next one, you just mentioned something that got to me about talking to people and the connections and perspective. So let me share something on that. So when you're going to do a project, forget the biases, forget everything you've heard. Forget the biases. Everything you've heard, put it somewhere, like find a part of your brain and keep it. Let your stories not be influenced by other people's experiences. Let it be influenced by your personal experiences. So people would say, I went to this place, there's this stuff, the north is not this, the north is not that. But I've photographed, like I've actually photographed in like 26 states in Nigeria. So, and when I told someone I photographed in like 26 states out of the 36, the person said, the rest, are they not in states? I'm like, no, they are not. Like the rest states I've not been to is Ebonyi. I've not been to Delta. I've not been to Edo. Do you understand? So people allow the narrative, other people's experiences to shape them. So for them thinking that, okay, the state that I didn't go to probably is Yobe, but I've been to Yobe, which probably should be Borno. I've been to Borno. Do you understand? So you don't allow people's perspective to shape your story. So
very true.
Yes, you've heard what you've heard. You keep it one side and you allow yourself to experience the place. Because I actually feel that the strongest of images are made from a place of vulnerability, not just on the part of the subject, but on the part of the photographer. So if you're in a place that you feel a certain way about a certain set of people, it will tell in your photograph. Whatever you feel for a certain group of people would reflect in your photograph. So I want to always allow yourself to live the experience. So people actually ask the next question about how do you talk to people? How do you communicate with people? How do you find connections? I go to places that, okay, I don't speak Igbo. I don't speak Hausa. I don't speak Yoruba. Like, I don't speak any of those things, languages. So what I do is I figure out how to get some phrases that makes people laugh. Phrases like, I just figure out that instead of me calling someone in the north Abokina, which is not bad, like my friend. So instead of me calling Abokina, I said Mutumina. So I figured out that they called themselves Mutumina more than they call themselves Abokina. So as someone who is trying to get to that place, that is a part of that research place. So I do the research and find out what the languages we speak. And I try to learn the basics. So the first thing I do is when I go, I'm always smiling. So when I come up and I tell you, we say like, ina akwana, ina deja, baka jao. So they understand that I don't speak Hausa. I'm not a Hausa person. They can understand it from my language, like the way I pronounce it. Maybe I say Yakaswa, like how it works, like Yakaswa. So they will understand that I am not Hausa, but they also understand that I'm putting in the effort. So people know when you are genuinely interested and they can feel it. It's an energy. So it is the energy you give that you receive. So once they perceive that the energy that you're giving is positive vibe and you're really interested in them, even when you're not speaking the language, but you're trying, they'll actually open up to you.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's a very important point. That's a very important point because the first time before we went to Kano,
you have to smile a lot.
We've been to Kano several times, but the first time we went to Kano, we had some biases before we went to Kano. But I can boldly tell you that of all the states we have been able to travel to in Nigeria, the place where we've experienced the best of hospitality is in Kano. The people of the North are very hospitable people, contrary to what we see on TV.
Hospitable.
Contrary to what you see on TV.
That's what I'm saying.
Contrary to what you see on TV.
Exactly.
They're very, very hospitable people. So that's a very important point. For every personal project you're embarking upon, keep your biases at home and go there with a blank slate.
Keep it at
home. Yeah. Go there with a blank slate and prepare to experience the place for the place that it is. So that is very, very, very important. So somebody's also sharing. So at the chat box, aside questions, if you have something to share, you can also drop it there. Ebolu has dropped several nuggets there, so you guys can go there and refer to it. So Mayor, I really appreciate this time you've spent. So we don't keep people too long. Because I know you have some assignments at hand. I want you to just go through the remaining parts of your slide. Let's just do it quickly. And if anybody has a question, let's get back here. The recording will be shared to you guys via email. We'll put it on YouTube. Mayor, if you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that. Sorry, I didn't ask you. We're going to put this recording on
No problem.
Facebook. So you guys can always refer back to it to learn one or two things from the video. And there are other videos on our YouTube channel. We're going to do, after this session, for those who registered and for those who participated, we're going to share the link from the YouTube recording to your emails. So you guys will have it there. For those who will follow us already on Instagram or follow us on YouTube, we'll also be sharing this. And from time to time, we're going to have more conversations coming up from different issues around what the kind of work that we do. There are several materials already on the YouTube channel that will be of benefit to you. So please take advantage of this. And Mayor is always open. He has a Twitter account that is very active. He has a Telegram group and WhatsApp group that he shares for a token. So guys, we need to sign up for those channels and gain one or two insights. And for everyone who's participating, please, like I said, connect with everyone on our creative space in the industry. We need each other to build this industry together.
Yeah.
We need each other. We honestly need each other. We can't do it alone. So please, guys, make sure you do that. So let me check the chat box for questions before Mayor continues around up. Okay, Sadiq said my question hasn't been answered. Sadiq, what was your question again? Sadiq. Yes, do you use light yeah, Mayor answered that. Do you use light when you do documentary photos? He answered it. That depending on the mood he wants to create, he takes either he uses natural light or uses a strobe, depending on the mood he wants to create. He attended to that. Yeah, he did that. Please.
So let me add to that. So what I do is, I don't want my light to be very obvious. So what I do is I'm trying to add to the source of the light, like the source of the natural light. So I am trying to mimic the sun. So if the sun is to the left, I keep my light to the left. So I don't go against the force of nature. So I'm just trying to, so that you won't actually notice that it's there, except that's the actually idea. I want you to see that I use light to shoot it. You would say it. But if I don't show you that, you actually feel that I shot with natural light. So so you have to understand, okay, documentary pictures are like this. Pictures are there to tell stories. And how do you tell stories? It's with mood. And how do you shape the mood? It's with lighting. Yeah. So I can make a picture look happy. I can make a picture look sad just by my light placement. So once I know that, okay, these pictures have to be emotional, that means I have to do low-key lighting. I have to make a lot of the person's feature go into the shadow areas. That means, yes, let me bring some light inside and through the other side to the shadow. But if I want to be a very happy picture, nope. I wouldn't use that kind of light. I would just allow the environment to be shining up. So it's it's a lighting thing, the low key lighting and the high key lighting. So high key lighting will show that everybody's excited, everybody's happy. There are no shadows to the pictures, but the low key lighting is for moody pictures. So you make your shadows very thick so that people will be very moody, the feel of the thick. So let me, if there's a slide of the woman, of Mrs. Rosemary, yes, look at this on your screen right now. I shot with light, and the essence was to make this picture as emotional as possible. So what I did was to make it emotional for people to connect to her story, because she was struggling with liver failure, and I wanted to raise money, which we actually raised over 15 million for her. So I had to bring the daughter in, because bringing the daughter would actually make people connect more with the story. And I actually had to throw them a lot into the shadow area and use my lights to one side. And this is the perfect example of using the low-key lighting to tell the story.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of time I use my lighting.
Yeah.
This is the kind of time I use my lighting.
Yeah, this is
if you take
light,
another frame of hers, this is natural light outside under a tree, and a reading table, and I shot it there. You see the other one, the first one, I think the first one of this series.
Yeah, this one. This one. Yeah, this one. This image, Mayor.
No, there's another. Yes, this particular one. Yes.
Okay,
so
one.
If you look at this image, she's facing the light.
Yes.
That's why the shadow is.
Yeah. Oh, it's frozen.
I placed there's a natural dot there, which if I use popped up my ISO, it will actually almost be the same thing. But I didn't want to pop my eyes at the direction of the door. So it falls naturally as if I didn't use a stroke. So that's how I actually use it. I just use it to just give commercial value to the images I shoot.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense. It does. It does.
So Sadiq, that's how you use lighting. Yeah. You want to give it a commercial value, make it look like it's produced, but not really produced.
Yeah, like it's always said, be intentional about your images. Think before you create. Don't just shoot for shooting's sake.
Very intentional.
Yeah, this just shows you.
There's no time to shoot. That's why I said in that stage point.
Yeah.
Exactly. When I talked about the research, I talked about the storyboard. All of these were in my storyboard. So I knew the kind of frames I wanted to create. And I knew from before I left my house, the kind of lighting setup I wanted to use. So if I went there and the light from the window or the door was good enough, I wouldn't have used my light, because I've already figured out how I want the story to go and the kind of images I wanted to shoot. Yes, it changed with time, but I actually tried to follow because the storyboard helps me tell the story in a format that will make sense. So that's why I don't shoot outside the storyboard most of the time. I just add. But the storyboard helps me from the beginning of the story to the end of the story, and I figure out how it would look pleasing to the eyes and also to the emotions that I bring to the images.
Excellent.
I think, yeah. So basically, personal project is something you want, and you can also do it in a group. So this is when I say collaboration with other storytellers and other photographers. You don't have to do it alone. Like, you don't have to do it alone. So the problem is not shared glory. The problem here is obscurity. Do you understand? Don't say I want to be known alone, or it's my gig. I want to be the one they know. The problem is not shared glory that, okay, there are people working on the project, 3 people working on the project. The problem is actually obscurity, like nobody knowing you. That is the problem. Collaboration will take you out of obscurity. So you need to actually do it. You need to collaborate. You need to collaborate. Find out people, storytellers, photographers, writers. You don't even need to just do the collaboration with a photographer alone. You can collaborate with a writer. You can collaborate with an historian and work on a project that will have impact. So
someone in the chat box is saying that collaboration in this part of the world is difficult. Yeah, I agree, it's difficult, but we're breaking the barrier, because actually, like Mayor just talked about, in all of the projects we have embarked upon as individuals or as a group, it's about all of us. It's never about a person. It's about a project. And like everybody sees differently. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody hears differently. Everybody feels differently. Bringing in all of these feelings, all of
those energies
into a project, don't you think it's going to give it depth? It's going to give it real life than just you showing how you see, how you hear, how you feel. Imagine 4 people bringing in all their hearing, all their seeing, all their feeling into a project. Imagine how impactful that. Okay, typical example, the NSAS protest. If it was told by just one person, how would that story have been?
Nah.
Exactly. So it took all of us.
Let me help you out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Continue, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so how do you get people to collaborate with you, especially in this industry? Okay. You don't hit somebody up and say, let's collaborate. Collaboration comes from a place of friendship. You have a place of relationship. You have to deliberately build relationships. You can't just you meet somebody and you just get to the person and you feel the person will do it. The person will not do it. It's about relationship. And you need to know that it's about what the other person will stand to gain than what you will stand to gain. Always consider it from that angle. So let's say someone that just started documentary photography, he said, I want to collaborate with Mayor. But it's not telling me what I would stand to gain.
Exactly.
It's just what he will stand to gain, because he knows if he collaborates with me, okay, he will get to be seen. My influence circle will rub off on him and all of that. But that's not how it works. How it works is actually building relationships. How do you build relationship? It's not by saying Mado on people's picture. No, it's about making you make intentional, like very constructive comments. Like, oh, I saw that you used light in this picture, or this lens you used, was it a 85 that it was you have to have conversation as a photographer. So once I see those kind of conversations, I'm like, oh, this person knows what he's doing. Okay, I'll now go and check the person out. So over time, I know who the person is. So the person will like, Mayor, can you check out my work? I'll check out the work. Oh, it's good though. I'll go. He said, no, that's not how I want you to check out my work. I want you to check out my work. Because I won't just come and criticize your work at first glance when you say, check out my work. I don't want you to hate me. I don't want you to feel bad too. So every time for the first time you say, check out my work, I say, it's good, man, it's good. But if you now go back and tell me, so no, Mayor, check out my work. I'll now say, okay, let's do this. Then from there, we now have that relationship. The trust comes in. And once upon a time, you now tell me, oh, Mayor, I was working on this project. I just want to know what you think about it. And we share ideas of it, and that goes away. Then someday, you now show me the project that you talked to me about, that you're finally finished. I'm like, oh, that's really great. Am I freezing?
No, no, you're not. You're not.
Okay. So once you show me the one after you've done it, I'm like, oh, that's really dope. That's great. Well done. So next time you now tell me, okay, Mayor, I want to send you an email. Can you give me your So we now like, you started the project, you started research on your own part. You now show me the research part. Like, yo, it's not even, I'm not even talking about me, but like any other person you want to collaborate with, show them the research part. Well, this is a project I think I want to work on with you. But this is where I've started my research. This is what I've seen. This is what I've seen. I actually want to know whether you want to be a part of it. Then I'll not say, oh, so this guy have even done research. It's something that interests me. But like, okay, let me do research too. Then I'll get back to you. I'll now go on my own research and now look at it. It's something that will be worth it. And I'll come back to you, oh, let's do it. And I'll send to you what I have also researched on my own side to you. So now we now have two researches to compare. Then we can now go on a project. You have to show someone that you are invested in it. You don't just say, let's collaborate. People will just walk away. You have to show that you are invested in it. Once someone recognizes that you're invested in it, most deliberately they will do. And if they do not, you have to move on. There are lots of photographers you can collaborate with. If one person says no, move on and find another person that will say yes.
Excellent, 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 excellent. So once again, thank you so much, Mayor. We've taken much of your time. Yes, these are just the pictures from the project on the fibroid that is showing. Yeah. So basically, that's it. So right now,
the woman says, "Look at me in the theater. I'm very scared." I remember I came back and they said I was depressed, but I didn't think I was depressed. I don't know what was going on with me, but I saw a lot of things. So
I can't stand that as a person. I got all shake, shiver, come up for the place. I don't have the mind to see those things.
Man, that thing was something else, but it changed my life.
Exactly, I can imagine.
My life.
I can imagine.
Now I see women differently. I understand their plight more. I understand what they are going through. I know families that are trying to get rid of fibroid. A husband came all the way from Kaduna, like I said, with the wife. Other people just allowed their wife to come alone, but this man came, brought the wife, and he slept on the floor because there was only one bed. The bed was only for the patient. He slept on the floor. Wow. So it taught me a lot of things outside photography.
Yeah.
Outside photography.
That's basically what personal project, one of the things personal project will do for you as a person. It brings you out of you. Yeah. You have seen another side of you. Until you go out and do it, you won't see that side of you. It's just the reality.
You won't.
You won't see it.
You won't.
So guys, thanks so much, Mayor. Really, really appreciate everyone that joined. We really want to say thank you. Guys. I'm putting on the gallery view. Can everybody just turn on their cameras for a bit? Let's see your faces, if possible. If not possible, that's also okay. For those who have sent in their numbers, yes, beautiful. See that handsome man, Sheisha, you fine. We'll send you go, Mr. Ward.
Shey, my guy. See my guy in the phrase.
Here, greetings to you. Can see you. Ayo, we can see you. Maru, we can see you. Taiwo, can see you. Yeah, Ayo Lemo.
Yeah.
So
Taiwo,
once again, thanks again.
How are you?
Ebu, thank you for sharing those things down. Wakama, thank you for the question. Sadiq, thank you for asking. Onaze, thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to have this recording shared to your emails in a few hours or possibly by tomorrow. So feel free, and those who have dropped their numbers in the chat box, will add it to the group, and we'll have discussions from there henceforth. And those who have decided to collaborate together because of this, please, like Mayor said, don't just collaborate for collaborating's sake, collaborate with the purpose and have shared or beneficial collaboration. Once again, thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. And where is okay, I think this, okay, where's Dikbo? Dikbo has stepped out. Dikbo, Taiwo, and who's the third guy? It's the third guy now. Okay, Dikbo is here. Yes, fine. Who's the third guy again? I can't see his
I think
name
it
here.
was it James? I don't know.
I'll check for his name. So 3 people won Mayor's book for coming in on time to this conversation today. Mayor has a book. Mayor, what's the title of the book again?
We are all afraid.
Exactly. We are all
A beginner's
afraid.
guide to street photography.
So that's
because
fine.
We are, all of us.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Nobody if except one dies. Until one dies, that's when you stop learning. But as long as we live, we are all learners and we'll keep being learners. Yeah, so Mayor has gotten a book, it's an ebook. So Dikbo has won a copy. Taiwo won because she was the first lady who came on board. I think it's Joseph Aka, or something like that. I'll check it. So 3 of you are going to get a copy of the book in your email from Mayor. Mayor, we're going to send you the cash for the book. Thank you so much for everyone who joined. Once again, we want to wish you the best of the day.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you. So if
in
coming days, we're going to have more conversation. So feel free to be a part of it.